So a lot of people ask me about horses that tend to turn in when they're sending their horses out. And we call it sending, we don't call it lunging here at Steady Horse. I have all of my Unbreakable Bond students send their horses. And when we send, we break it down into 3 distinct steps to give our horse clarity so that they know not to turn in, but to stay out until we actually invite them in. So step number 1 is we want to make sure that our horse is back up for us. So I've got my Steady Horse halter on him, and you can see that rope puts a lot of energy in there, and he's like, oh, okay, let me back up from that. And he did great. And you see how no, you're not gonna eat though, you're not gonna eat. You see how I let him stand there, and like that's just step 1, right? I'm gonna be very, very patient with these steps, okay? Step number 2 is I'm gonna move the front end over, and this speaks to getting your horse to stay out when you are sending, right? They need to know how to move that front end over. So I'm gonna come in here, I'm gonna point in that direction, I'll add some pressure, and I wanna get this front end over. Now, don't go forward. He's anticipating. I want him to keep that front end. No, don't go forward. I just want him to keep that front end over, okay? So you see how I'm being very clear here. Back up first, deep breath, good job. Move that front end over, don't walk out, good job. Now you see how he's starting to come in? From now I'm gonna work on this. I'm gonna say, no, get that front end back over. There, what a gentleman. So I'm giving him clarity that I want him to stay out there, not right here. And then lastly, I'm gonna show him where I want him to go, and I'll drive and add pressure behind so that I can scoot him around and forward for me. Now, he's doing a good job of staying on the rail and not diving in, but for illustration purposes, I'm gonna start to tip him in. If my horse were to start to drift, I just walk back in there and say, hey, get that front end over, until he moved that front end over. Now again, he knows how to do this exercise, he knows how to move that front end. Maybe at home you have a horse that's really stiff and heavy in that front end, and they're leaning in on you. So what I would do is I would keep asking him to move that front end until he really got soft. Even if I got outside of my circle and I'm out of position, I don't really care. I'm gonna back him up, and I'm gonna keep saying, hey, move that front end over for me. Move that front end over for me until it's nice and soft and I get a good yes, sir. Okay, great. Now we'll scoot forward and we'll move out because you're being responsive, you're being light, you're being quite the gentleman. And I always want to reward good behavior by taking the pressure away and off of my horse. The key to getting your horse to move out and away from you when you're sending, break it down into steps and give them clarity with what it means to move that front end over. That way you have that tool in order to let them know your expectation that they can't just come over the top of you. They got to move out and stay over there so that you both stay out of harm's way and you can continue and have a great training session.